Absolutely, right? We hear all the time. And like we can get into the science behind some of these conversations that men be having around, how they're biologically wired. This for me, the science doesn't support it because my understanding of science is a little bit different.
Girl,
But
no. A lot of these men act like women hit the wall. They hit the wall too. They be thinking they putting in 10 minutes and they putting in three. And then,
ma'am, not just that. A B Taylor, not just that. We can get into the science of like what your sperm looks like after a certain age with a
yeah,
certain
the
lifestyle. We can
sperm
look
is
at what your
old.
stamina looks like.
The beginning is essential. From the time I met my husband when we were strangers, we set a foundation on date one.
How
And
long have
I
you guys
hope
been married? How long have you been
we
married?
just celebrated 1 year. Woo!
Newlywed.
Yes.
No wonder you're still happy. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, girl.
But what I have to say is still valid because what I
It
did
is.
is sadly, extremely different from what modern day women are doing. Um, we set a foundation from date one. After I decided, okay, I really like this guy, I asked him, what are your plans? And if they lined up with mine, I decided to go. Because they lined up with mine, I decided to go along and continue seeing him. I don't think a lot of women today, especially younger women, are setting themselves up for success. You have to set a foundation. You need to see how he problem solves. How does he deal with under stress? How does he deal if he doesn't have money? What are those pressure tests like? So when you are in a marriage, you have a kind of an idea of what he's going to do and how he's going to react. Yes, nothing is perfect. I know that. I'm not that naive. But you need to have some type of information to go into a marriage with. So yes, you're gonna have arguments and all this. You're gonna sacrifice your happiness sometimes and this and that. But you need to know who you're marrying. You really need to know because at the core, like Ms. Taken said, at the core, you're gonna have that fundamental person who they are inside, and that's who you're marrying. So you have to figure out who they are.
I still think the bottom line is people change, life changes. If you want to work on it and work through things, like of course do that. But to sacrifice your happiness to keep the family, no, like you want to be happy. Like that's what we're here to do, to feed each other, energy,
I
good.
guess the question is, what would a person do to find their happiness within the marriage prior or relationship or what have? Because you're saying, oh, a person needs to be happy, right? And they shouldn't, you know, stay somewhere that they're unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
You leave the marriage thinking that it's the marriage that's causing the problem. And then when you get healed, sometimes you go to therapy, you realize it wasn't the marriage. And I've seen and read stories about how women have doubled back trying to get back with husbands because they recognize that it wasn't, the grass wasn't greener on the other side, or what they thought that they were unhappy about really wasn't about the guy, it was about them. So what I'm saying is, what do you do if you're already in the relationship, you're already married, y'all, and have a baby on the way or in her situation? What could she do to make sure or to try to ensure her happiness? Like, we know the baby is going to be taken care of. She has the money for that. If she's willing to do it on her own anyway, as a single mom, she would have had to take on that financial responsibility anyway. So the fact that he's not making that kind of money, you already knew he wasn't. Why would you not stay in that situation for the betterment of your child?
Because I don't want
When you
to.
know that
Like, it's
but
really that simple though.
why,
Like,
So
you don't
y'all
want
are
to get up and go to work every day.
but
You don't
listen,
want to. It's so many things that we don't want to do that we do anyway.
but the thing is, what I think what we're missing is we are human beings. We're not dogs or ants. We
Agreed.
have choices for a reason, right? And because it sounds good, because it works for some other people, that's fine for you, right? But on the flip side, if that's not what I want, like you said, she might have to leave it and go figure out. She went to therapy and figured out, like, dang, that wasn't even a problem. But she had to do that to figure that out. She wasn't figuring it out in the relationship. She wasn't figuring it out at home. Like, it didn't come that way. So different people have to do what is best for them. Like, you got to know in here, like this ain't, I can't do this right now.
And
Maybe
I
I'll
like
come
what
back. Maybe I will circle back and we'll try it again later. But right now, I gotta
Yeah.
get out your way to get out my way.
I
And
like
I,
what you said
Assuming
because
that man is waiting for you on the end.
It's not a it
That
life.
part.
It all, but that's it doesn't matter though. Like in the moment of you getting you together, you can't be worried about if he gonna be there or he's not gonna be there. Because if he's not, and you, if he leaves and he do something else, and you go get yourself together, and now you're in a place where you are healthy and happy and able to receive something else. Somebody else, God gonna send something else for you. Wasn't really meant for you. So the whole time you didn't even know that was supposed to be how it was going anyway.
I've
You know.
seen situations where women have went out and you, like you said, found their happiness outside of just the relationship, and it ended up being a whole nother man. It
well,
ended up
I thought
being-
that's what happened with him, and then she ended up kicking him to the curb, right? Isn't
right.
that the story?
There's some women out there that'll find happiness. They start traveling, taking trips, and their husband like, "Where you going on? Having a girls trip," and really they be with they new man.
But you know what? A lot. Let's not act like a lot of these men are happy because they got that chick on the side who's like, that wife ain't doing it.
Well,
So
I do think that is the difference between some men, and I'm not going to say all men, but some men, like when they bring up the idea of, oh, the divorce rates, women are the ones that file for divorce and da da da. I think it's because women are willing to pull the trigger when men aren't necessarily willing to.
Yeah,
They'll stay.
And because they don't want to pay.
They'll,
Okay,
can I,
hang on, because
they'll
I think it's
stay in an
mistaken what
unhappy
you're saying.
marriage and find their happiness or fulfillment outside of the marriage. So in that case, are you really married? You know what I'm saying?
But mistaken. Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying earlier, because like I got a lot of flack for it. If men are not willing to sacrifice their happiness in a
yeah,
relationship,
that's true.
why should a woman? Right?
That is true.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that we're asking one party to sacrifice a huge part of the human experience to say, like, I'm not going to participate in this part of myself, when this man is going to, whether you are in a polygamous relationship, whether you are cheating, whether you are, engaging in inappropriate behavior without it being full on cheating. I think it's called soft cheating on the internet. um Men are not willing to sacrifice their happiness. They're willing to sacrifice other things. I will absolutely give men credit for that. They're willing to sacrifice their time, their resources, they're willing to sacrifice, but they're not willing to sacrifice their happiness. And I don't think that women should be held to a standard where their happiness is up for sacrifice as
I
well.
disagree because I've seen that too. I've
But,
seen women
but here's the
I,
thing.
in marriages that they are not happy in, but they do stick around for the kids. I've
because they
seen
know
that.
that divorce.
But what
They know that
example
they
does
don't
that set?
benefit from divorce. They benefit from marriage. I think that's why a lot of these men are running around here saying that marriage is not beneficial for men. It's very beneficial. Divorce is not beneficial for men. To piggyback off of Inaz, I know a lot of men who will leave their pregnant girlfriends because she's no longer fun and he's no longer having fun with her anymore. She's boring. She's too responsible. She don't like to go out and drink. We don't have fun no more. So I'm
But
gonna
men
start
don't
doing it with
leave.
I'm gonna. They do it with another woman. That a lot of
Right.
women find themselves in open relationships because their man is like, you know what, my sexual appetite is not being fulfilled. I want an open relationship.
And but so that's where, like, the question of sacrifice comes in, right? Because, like, at the end of the day, men are not initiating divorce at the rate that women are, right? Men still want to be married, men still want to stay, and still won't sacrifice their happiness,
Don't you
right?
feel like
They're not.
sometimes men like to have their cake and eat it too?
Absolutely, right? Absolutely, right? We hear all the time. And like we can get into the science behind some of these conversations that men be having around, how they're biologically wired. This, for me, the science doesn't support it because my understanding of science is a little bit different.
Girl,
But
no. A lot of these men act like women hit the wall. They hit the wall too. They be thinking they putting in 10 minutes and they putting in 3. And
ma'am, not just that. A B Taylor, not just that. We can get into the science of like what your sperm looks like after a certain age with a certain
yeah,
lifestyle. We can look at what your
old.
stamina looks like. We
Your
can look at what your
lifestyle.
testosterone
They
levels
can't even
look
Yeah.
go
like.
play baseball with their sons because they
Yep.
knees crackling. Like, nope, what? They can't.
100%.
You know
We
what?
can get into the science, but
you put
I want to stay away from the science because we're going down a totally different tangent. But my thing is that I don't believe that anybody should be sacrificing their happiness. I think compromising, moving around timelines for the betterment of the family makes total sense because men are willing to do that. I will delay, buying the car that I'm looking to fix up until my kids are in college or until I reach a certain financial set. Men are willing to compromise on the things that they're looking for to sustain their happiness. They don't prioritize it, but they don't give it up either. I think way too many women, and this is to me why women initiate divorce, women are willing to sacrifice their happiness. And there's so much resentment that builds up because that is not reciprocated that they just want out. It's easier for me to try to find it somewhere else than it is for me to ask somebody to do what I've done in this relationship, knowing that they're not going to do that. I think I don't think happiness is top, right? And I'm going to reiterate that. I don't think the happiness is the be all, end all. A fleeting emotion will never override real fulfillment. But I don't think it should be taken off the table either, especially because men will never do it. They will never sacrifice their happiness for anybody, including their family.